bringing back 60-year-old, 50-year-old wrestlers from way back in the Monday Night Wars or something to try and get a cheap pop. Like, there are new, better wrestlers out there, you know what I mean? Like, what? What's up, Squad? It's your Squid, aka the Anxious Squid, here at Anxious Squid Productions. I tried reacting to AEW Before the Bell the other day. I had 3 parts. It was a documentary. And yeah, they blocked the video. So hopefully this video will go up. Hopefully it'll work. Hopefully my plans for a wrestling playlist aren't, you know, going to be completely thrown out the window. But this is a content creator who I have reacted to before. So I'm sure it won't get blocked. We'll see how we go. But yeah, let me know other wrestling videos to react to and I will. But I did tell people I would do that documentary, so I tried. I just thought I'd mention that right at the offset. This is 11 reasons why millions have stopped watching the WWE.
Something missing. Something very important. That would be all of you, our fans, the WWE Universe.
Fuck, he looks old, doesn't he? He looks dead.
Wrestling seems to be enjoying a comeback with weekly wrestling shows airing Monday through Friday, ranging from big promotions like AEW and WWE to smaller promotions such as Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor and MLW. So why are fans tuning out of the WWE? What's creating this
There's other options now
in world wrestling entertainment? Well, join us now as WrestleMania looks at
as always, right?
Fans.
If you want to watch this video without my reaction to it, without me here, without all my stuff in the background, the link is at the bottom of the description. WrestleMania is a really good content creator, so even if you don't want to go watch his stuff, go like this video that I'm reacting to, so that it, you know, it all comes out good.
Turning off the WWE.
What did I just get a... Oh, Instagram. Interesting. Alrighty. Nice logo.
Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell.
Yeah, like I said before, go check out his channel. Links at the bottom of the description.
We used to see things eye to eye, and then somewhere along the way, it all went wrong, and I'm trying to figure out why.
Number 1, a worthless women's division. The WWE can boast about its women's revolution and how the company has come a long way from the Divas era, and while the days of Playboy pillow fights and bra and panty matches seem to be over, the WWE continues to treat its female athletes as an afterthought. Whether it's female performers disappearing for weeks at a time, the WWE randomly pairing women into tag teams, and yes, we do know the WWE does this with its men, but
yeah, I was going to say,
treating the men and women equally, or a lack of building new stars, the women's division is pretty awful. Other than Bayley, it's difficult to think of any female performer who's been booked well. Raw's women's division went into cruise control once Becky Lynch took time off for maternity leave, despite the presence of Shayna Baszler, Asuka, and the opportunity to call up NXT standouts such as Rhea Ripley.
Okay.
Just remember the time that Shayna plowed through about 5 women in the Elimination Chamber match? What happened to that? How did WWE not carry on that dominance?
It was a women's elimination chamber match? That's interesting.
McMahon brags that the WWE pushes its female wrestlers as much as the males. The weekly product says otherwise.
Water and Shayna Baszler. No, and Nia Jax slips. It happened again to Nia.
And no, throwing Sasha Banks versus Bella into the main event on night 1 of WrestleMania doesn't make up for a year of badly booking its women.
Yeah, no.
Endless rematches. Did you miss that pay-per-view?
So sick of seeing the same people fighting the same people over and over again. Back when I was like tuned in like 2016-ish, 2017, it was Cesaro and somebody else, Sheamus, I think it was. Cesaro and Sheamus, just constantly. And then they ended up being a fucking tag team as well that they were smushed together. And it was just, like, they ended up being a semi-decent tag team, I think. But it was like, why? Why are you doing this? You know? Like, just give us what we want.
Later on SmackDown. That's only the beginning though, as the WWE repeats the same bout a few more times before airing it again on pay-per-view. The WWE's recycling program is a testament to the sheer laziness found in WWE creative.
And yeah, I don't really care for the New Day or Big E. I know that's like sacrilegious and stuff because Big E is now the WWE champion or something, but I just... like, it's 12-year-old stuff. Like, it's gimmicky. Like, oh, we're going to eat cereal. Like, fuck off. Can we watch some wrestling, please? I want to see some blood dripping out of some cunt's face. Why are we talking about cereal and ice creams and shit? Like, grow up. Fuck.
to a subsequent match, or bringing in a tag partner to help out in a singles feud. However, several weeks of the same wrestlers competing with the same results is a formula for failure when it comes to wooing fans. Number 3, breaking up good teams. The WWE's tag division has been poorly booked for some time.
Yeah, that was ridiculous from memory.
Explosion of teams splitting up. Breaking up tag teams is a time-honored tradition in professional wrestling,
Rockers,
as it's been used to effectively set up big feuds with the intent of creating 1 or 2 single stars from that team. When done right, a tag team split can create some riveting drama as fans watch friends turn into foes. And the problem, like many WWE storylines, is the lack of planning and follow-up. There have been numerous instances of badly booked breakups, including the Iconics and Heavy Machinery. In the Iconics' case, the WWE reportedly wanted to push Peyton Royce as a single star.
Okay.
That never happened. Instead, she's
an Australian, hometown Sydney, Australia. Who's that?
Machinery. In the Iconics' case, the WWE reportedly wanted to push Peyton Royce as a single star. That never happened.
Peyton Royce. Hometown Sydney, Australia. Signature move, Deja Vu. Former women's tag team champion. Alright. I'll give her a Google.
Instead,
That's interesting.
She was inexplicably paired with Lacey Evans. Why would you split up an established tag team that could help the women's tag team division only to form an inferior team?
Yeah, that's weird.
Worse, the Royce's-Evans tag team quickly became overshadowed
She was
by
staring right
Evans'
down the barrel of the camera
Charlotte
then.
Flair. As for Heavy Machinery, the WWE had a popular team that provided a mix of power wrestling and comedy, and split them up when Tucker turned heel.
Oh my God, what the hell? Tucker just clocked his best friend with the briefcase!
While it's questionable how much interest the fans would have had watching the two men fight, they never gave him a chance as Tucker was drafted to Raw,
Wow.
before ignoring fan favourites. Now, we've talked about the WWE splitting up popular
Yeah, who was the guy? There was a guy who, like, before the WWE had adapted to, like, the online mediascape and stuff, there was a guy who, like, created an online championship, and he created this space for himself, and he got himself over, like, completely, like, regardless of what was happening on WWE screens. What was his name? Was it Zack Ryder, maybe? Or is that the one-legged guy from way back in the day? I don't know. There was a one-legged wrestler way back in the day as well, but I can't remember if he was Zack Ryder or if the online championship guy was Zack Ryder, but I'll Google it in the edit.
deeper than that. The WWE's refusal to push wrestlers that fans get behind, whether they're faces or heels, has never been more apparent than with the situation involving the Hurt Business. While MVP's work with Bobby Lashley helped Lashley complete his journey from poorly pushed upper-card wrestler to monster main eventer, it's doubtful many fans saw Cedric Alexander and veteran Shelton Benjamin getting strong thanks to their inclusion in the Hurt Business. Naturally, the WWE split the group up just when they were going over strong. The Hurt Business is the biggest example of popular wrestlers who've been thrown on the scrap heap, but there are others, including main eventer Braun Strowman and undercard stars such as Ricochet, Aleister Black, King Corbin, Chad Gable, and Shinsuke Nakamura. Number 5.
The way they did Shinsuke Nakamura is fucking insane.
It's not so much about the destination as it is about
King of hardstyle wrestling, and they've got him doing stupid shit.
Applies to storytelling. However, no matter how good the build-up for a story is, fans expect a substantial payoff when it comes time to executing a feud or ending one. Let's look at the two examples of the biggest potential money feuds that had terrible payoffs. The first is the heavily featured feud between the Golden Role Models team of Bayley and Sasha Banks.
Okay.
The two gelled well as two arrogant heels that fans knew were going to eventually end up fighting. While they were forced to drag this feud out longer than anyone wanted, rumor has it they were hoping to have fans at 2020 SummerSlam, and when they didn't happen, that kept the feud going. And while that's excusable, the WWE painted themselves into a corner when they finally had Bayley turn on Sasha Banks, putting the two in a Hell in a Cell match for their first match. As fans know, Hell in a Cell is usually where feuds end, so when Banks beat Bayley, there was nowhere for the feud to go, and they took the cheap way out by Bayley saying she'd fight Banks again, but only when she was ready and on her terms.
Right.
The next fizzled feud was The Fiend versus Randy Orton. Despite The Fiend's pinfall loss to Goldberg at 2020 Super Showdown, Bray Wyatt's demonic doppelganger had been booked strongly, so the WWE cleverly...
Yeah, what the fuck is the deal with Goldberg as well? Like, I'm sure we'll get there in this list. But bringing back 60-year-old, 50-year-old wrestlers from way back in the Monday Night Wars or something to try and get a cheap pop, like... There are new, better wrestlers out there, you know what I mean? Like, why go and get Edge when you could have gone and got Kenny Omega? Why go and get fucking, like, Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley when you could have got someone like the fucking... Well, I mean, they never would have got the Young Bucks. But you know what I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like, go out and get someone off the indie scene who knows what they're doing and who is building their own fucking thing. But that's not WWE's style. They'd rather get some fucking actor or disgraced UFC star or something like that and try and turn them into wrestlers, you know?
Pinning him or making him
or
submit.
superstars.
Afterwards, the WWE teased The Fiend's return and managed to keep fans guessing when he'd return for revenge. Incredibly, they didn't have The Fiend
Only 3 of the 4 just went off then. Check that out.
Or making him submit. Afterwards, the WWE teased The Fiend's return and managed to keep fans guessing when he'd return for revenge. Incredibly, they didn't have The Fiend return until Fastlane, setting up a high-profile match for WrestleMania 37. Unfortunately, the match as was anticlimactic as it could be.
Yeah, that's
Bliss
weird.
turning heel on The Fiend and Orton pinning The Fiend clean in just 5 minutes. Not to mention with just 1 RKO.
Wow.
Fans are still wondering what happened at WrestleMania to cause The Fiend to lose. Did Alexa Bliss find a way to rob The Fiend of his powers? Did he have somewhere he needed to be in 10 minutes? Pathetic payoffs to promising programs are another way to anger and alienate your audience. Number 6, poor planning. The WWE's writers have a number of problems ranging from laziness to having to deal with Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's writers or is it just Vinnie Mac?
Things with no apparent rhyme or reason. This means that even the best of ideas tend to run into obstacles when it comes to creating and executing long-term storylines, an essential element of keeping fans tuned in every week. One of the biggest examples of WWE's poor planning is Otis's unlikely and downright shocking Money in the Bank briefcase win at 2020.
Right.
The angle, while surprising, was a good direction for Otis, a character who had gotten over thanks to his storyline romance with Mandy Rose. However, as the months went on, it became clear they had no idea what to do with Otis having the briefcase in his possession.
Right.
And they ran an overbooked angle where The Miz won the briefcase thanks to a meaningless heel turn by Otis' partner Tucker. Thankfully, they did get some mileage out of The Miz winning the briefcase, but Otis winning it was poorly thought out, and the feeble follow-up damaged his character, as well as the fans' already shaky faith in the WWE's capability.
Yeah, if you win Money in the Bank, or if you get the briefcase but you don't win the championship, that's your career.
WWE's difficulties giving fans satisfactory payoffs for its storylines, but feuds deserve a mention for the
Or at least in
WWE's
that push.
difficulty in managing them. They occasionally get a feud on the right foot, such as 2020's Orton vs Edge feud. However, the WWE doesn't understand the basic outline
he looks
of
old.
drama. Like Banks vs Bayley, they put Edge and Randy Orton in a last man standing match for their first encounter, then expected fans to see them wrestle to see who the best wrestler was in the greatest match ever. Fans also find themselves frustrated by the lack of interesting undercard feuds. Number 8, awful announcing. The WWE has more than a
Might have changed a bit recently. I don't mind Pat McAfee.
Fans debate what's worse, the product in the ring or the men calling the action. Michael Cole isn't as much awful as he is consistently mediocre.
Yeah.
Cole is the epitome of someone who phones it in, relying on cliches. Corey Graves has his moment, but like any potentially entertaining announcer, you can't help but wonder if Vince McMahon has him wearing a shock vest that sets off if he gets too creative. Samoa Joe was a welcome addition to Raw, so naturally they got rid of him. Thankfully, there's a glimmer of hope on SmackDown thanks to the addition of Pat McAfee.
There we go.
The downside is there's no telling whether Vince McMahon will grind the former NFL star's performance down to the level of the other WWE announcers.
No, you can't unpat
For wrestling
Pat.
fans, there are few things as bad as trying to get a friend to check out wrestling only to have the WWE make its latest pitiful attempt at comedy. Whether it's Riddle riding around on his stupid scooter, The New Day throwing tomatoes at Elias and Jackson Riker, or Nia Jax falling on her ass when she's not potatoing opponents, there are plenty of reasons
Wow.
for potential fans to tune out.
Slime, like what is
Regular
this, fucking
fans to turn red
Nickelodeon?
Embarrassment. They have enough trouble writing wrestling and should work on improving the wrestling product before trying comedy. It's next to impossible for wrestlers to pull off the comedy bits that DX, The Rock, and even Stone Cold Steve Austin pulled off during the Attitude Era, not so much because the product was PG-13, but because today's product is so heavily scripted.
Yeah, exactly. There's no freedom.
Television and pay-per-view.
Can't ad-lib, you know, get those natural comedy moments.
Know which matches to expect, otherwise risking fans tuning out before a Raw or a pay-per-view airs. Why else wouldn't the WWE promote television matches ahead of time? Fans like to know what's coming up on TV or pay-per-view rather than just tuning in and hoping for the best. Building up matches also makes the matches seem even more important because if they're getting behind them and the wrestlers are talking them up, there's a feeling they mean something.
Yeah,
Part
okay.
of the problem is that the WWE feels its pay-per-views largely sell themselves. The second is that Vince McMahon rewrites the WWE script so often that it's difficult, if not impossible, to announce a match when the WWE's head honcho
Yeah, he might
decides
fucking
to
change it
things a minute
6
before the
hours later
show.
anyway, yeah.
And number 11, the WWE's reputation.
This will mention the Saudi Arabia
It's another
stuff.
reason that the WWE Universe is tuning out. The WWE's schedule sketchy business practices. As more people support or boycott businesses with disreputable reputations, it's understandable why people wouldn't want to support the WWE.
They run a bit of a loose shit.
List of bad behavior includes its ongoing business arrangement with Saudi Arabia, its mass releases and firings in 2020 during the pandemic, while some observers saw as sloppy safeguards during the pandemic, and demanding that its wrestlers turn over their third-party deals such as Cameo to it for its own monetization, or labeling wrestlers as independent contractors when they treated as employees. Fans just can't stomach supporting a promotion that treats its wrestlers and workers so poorly. This may be one of the lesser factors for fans tuning out, but it's a reason for some. But there you have it, guys.
No, absolutely, that's a fucking thing. Treat your employees like they're fucking employees, you scab. But, yeah, okay. Hopefully this video doesn't get blocked like the AEW Before the Bell documentary did. Thank you very much for watching. If you're still watching at this point, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave me a comment. Who do you think, or why do you think WWE are losing the ratings war with AEW? Why do you think AEW is starting to pop? Personally, I think it's because it's not wrestling catered to children. It's wrestling catered to adults. And more adults are interested in wrestling than children these days, I think. Because the children that were interested grew up. And aged out of the WWE. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you think. These guys are my patrons and stuff. I like money. Turning some of yours into mine on a monthly basis would be kind of cool, because then I could spend it on shit. You know how money works. You also know how YouTube works, though. So like I said, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave me a comment, and I'll see you when I look at you. You'll see me when you look at me. Thanks so much for watching.